Captain Lee Hannah felt her heart racing as the massive starship Aegis slowly came out of hyperspace. The blue and white swirls of faster-than-light travel faded away, replaced by the cold darkness of space dotted with distant stars. She had been waiting for this moment for 3 years, humanity's first real chance to meet alien life. But what she saw made her stomach drop. The planet below them was beautiful: blue oceans, green continents, white clouds swirling in perfect patterns. Around it floated huge metal structures, bigger than Earth's largest cities. They were clearly built by intelligent beings, with complex designs that hurt to look at for too long. But they were completely dark. No lights, no signals, no signs of life at all. "Status report," Hannah said, trying to keep her voice steady. Chief Navigator Park Jin-woo looked up from his control panel, his face showing the same disappointment she felt. "All the orbital stations are powered down, Captain. The cities on the planet's surface are empty too. This is the 7th system like this we have found." Hannah walked over to where Commander Kim Dae-ho was studying the sensor data. The young man had joined the mission, fresh from the academy, full of excitement about meeting aliens. Now he just looked tired. "What do the scans tell us?" she asked. "The same story as always," Captain Dae-ho replied. "Everything is in perfect condition. The buildings, the machines, even their computers are still working. But whoever built all this just packed up and left. Maybe 100 years ago, maybe more." Hannah stared out at the empty alien city floating in space. When she was a little girl, she had dreamed of this moment. She had imagined shaking hands with strange beings from distant worlds, learning about their culture, sharing human knowledge with them. Instead, she was exploring a galaxy full of ghosts. The Aegis was humanity's most advanced ship. It had taken 30 years to build, and carried the hopes of 8 billion people back on Earth. The crew of 200 were the best and brightest that humanity had to offer. They had traveled farther from Earth than any human in history, following radio signals and energy signatures that suggested intelligent life. But every system they visited told the same sad story. Beautiful worlds, amazing technology, and no one home. "Captain," called Communications Officer Yoon Minji from her station near the back of the bridge. "I am picking up a transmission. It is not coming from the planet." Hannah felt a spark of hope. "Put it on speakers." The voice that filled the bridge was cold and mechanical, speaking perfect English. "Attention, human vessel. You are in violation of Galactic Council quarantine protocols. Return to your designated sector immediately. Further expansion attempts will be met with containment measures." The message repeated twice, then stopped. Hannah looked around at her crew. So there were aliens out there after all. They just did not want to meet humans. "Minji, can you trace where that signal came from?" Hannah asked. The communications officer worked at her controls for several minutes. "Yes, Captain. The signal originated from outside this solar system, probably from a ship or station about 2 light-years away. The transmission was very powerful and very focused. They knew exactly where we were." Park Jin-woo spoke up from his navigation station. "Captain, if they have been watching us, they probably know about all our exploration missions. They might know about Earth too." Hannah felt a chill run down her spine. The message had not sounded friendly. The word containment suggested that whoever sent it saw humans as some kind of threat that needed to be controlled. "Dae-ho, what do our records say about a galactic council?" she asked. The science officer checked his computer. "Nothing in our databases, Captain. This is the first we have heard of any kind of galactic government." Hannah walked back to her command chair and sat down heavily. Everything she thought she knew about humanity's place in the universe had just changed. They were not alone, but they were not welcome either. "Minji, send a response," she ordered. "Tell them we are explorers from Earth, seeking peaceful contact with other intelligent species." Minutes passed. Then the same cold voice replied, "Human requests for contact are denied. Return to your sector. This is your final warning. Hannah stared out at the empty alien structures. Now she understood why every system they found was abandoned. The aliens had not died or disappeared. They had been moved away from human space. Someone or something was keeping humanity isolated, like animals in a zoo. Set course for the next system on our list, she told Park Jinwoo. Captain, Daeho said quietly, maybe we should head back to Earth. Report what we have found. Hannah shook her head. No, we came out here to find answers. Now we have even more questions that need answering. Why are they keeping us away? What are they afraid of? As the Aegis prepared to jump to hyperspace again, Hannah made a promise to herself. Whoever this Galactic Council was, whatever they wanted, humanity deserved to know the truth about their place in the galaxy, and she was going to find out. Even if it meant breaking their rules. 6 months had passed since Captain Hannah first heard the cold voice telling humanity to stay away. She was now Admiral Hannah, promoted after her reports reached Earth Command. But the promotion came with bad news. 3 more exploration ships had been lost to mysterious equipment failures in deep space. Lieutenant Colonel Cho Min-seok sat in a cramped room inside a secret base built into a large asteroid. For weeks, he and his team had been working around the clock, trying to break into alien communication systems. The room was filled with computers and strange devices they had built, from salvaged alien technology found in the empty systems. Admiral, I think we finally have something, Min-seok said into his secure communicator. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but his voice was excited. Admiral Hannah appeared on his screen from her command ship orbiting Mars. Tell me what you found. Min-seok pulled up files on his computer. The text was in alien languages, but his translation software had been working on them for months. They call us a Category 9 expansion risk. According to their records, humans developed faster than light, traveled just 160 years after our first airplane flight. Most other species in the galaxy took thousands and thousands of years to do the same thing. Hannah leaned forward in her chair. What else do the files say? They are terrified of us, Admiral. The Galactic Council has 12 different alien species in it, and they all agree that humans are dangerous. Not because we are violent, but because we move too fast. We change too quickly. Another voice joined the conversation. Captain Song Hunhua was calling from his stealth ship Shadow, which had been secretly following alien monitoring stations for weeks. Admiral, what Min-seok found matches what I have been seeing out here. The aliens are not just watching us. They are actively sabotaging our missions. Hannah felt anger growing in her chest. Explain. Every time one of our exploration ships gets close to a system with actual aliens living in it, something goes wrong. Engines fail, navigation computers crash, life support systems break down. Our crews think it is bad luck or equipment problems, but I have been watching, and it happens every single time. Song pulled up a holographic star map showing human space. Red dots marked where ships had been forced to turn back. Look at the pattern, Admiral. They are herding us like sheep, keeping us away from their populated worlds. Min-seok shared more files from his computer. The Council has divided the entire galaxy into zones. There are huge sections marked as human exclusion areas. We are not allowed to go there, ever. Dr. Bae Sunhee, the team's alien biology expert, joined the conversation from her laboratory on Europa. She had been studying the alien data for days. Admiral, I found something that explains why they fear us so much. Look at these development charts. She shared a graph showing how different species had evolved over time. The average alien species in the Council took about 50,000 years to go from using simple tools to traveling between stars. Humans did it in only 200,000 years, and most of our progress happened in just the last 200 years. Hannah stared at the numbers. That fast? Yes, Admiral. To them, we are like a fire that spreads out of control. Most species develop new technology very slowly, and they accept limits. If something seems impossible, they give up and try something else. But humans never give up. We keep pushing until we find a way. Minseok pulled up more alien documents. According to these files, the Council has been watching Earth for over 500 years. They saw us go from horses and wooden ships to nuclear weapons and space travel in just a few centuries. It scared them so much that they decided to quarantine our entire region of space. They think our ambition is like a disease, Admiral Hannah said quietly, finally understanding. They are afraid that if their own people meet us and see how quickly we advance, it might make them want to move faster too. Dr. Bain nodded. Exactly. The Council species have been comfortable and safe for thousands of years. They do not want change. But humans represent change itself. We never stop exploring, never stop building, never stop dreaming of bigger things. Captain Song's voice was angry. So they decided to lock us up in our own little corner of the galaxy and hope we stay there forever. Admiral Hannah looked at the star maps showing the vast areas of space that were forbidden to humanity. Millions of worlds, thousands of civilizations, all kept secret from Earth. The galaxy was not empty at all. Humans were just not allowed to see it. How many alien species are there? She asked. Minseok checked his files. At least 100 different species, maybe more. Some of them are older than human civilization. They have technologies we cannot even imagine, but they all follow the Council's rules about staying away from us. Hannah stood up and walked to the window of her ship, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there were countless worlds full of life, knowledge, and wonders that could help humanity grow and learn. But they were all forbidden. Admiral, Dr. Bay said softly, what are we going to do with this information? Hannah turned back to the screen, her eyes hard with determination. We are going to show them that they were right to be afraid of human ambition, but not in the way they expected. The news from Admiral Hannah's secret mission hit Earth like a thunderbolt. For 3 days, the United Earth Assembly argued and shouted, while billions of people watched on their screens. Some wanted to try talking to the aliens. Others wanted to hide and hope the Council would leave them alone. But President Kong Woojin had a different idea. He stood before the packed assembly hall, his voice calm, but his eyes burning with anger. My fellow humans, we now know the truth. The galaxy is full of life, but they have decided we are not welcome. They think we are too dangerous, too ambitious, too fast. Well, I say they are right about one thing. We are ambitious, and we are going to show them exactly what human ambition can do. The hall fell silent as President Kong continued. If they will not share the galaxy with us, then we will take the parts they do not want. We will turn their wastelands into gardens. We will build cities where they see only empty rocks. We will prove that humans can thrive anywhere. 18 months later, the largest fleet in human history gathered in Earth orbit. Admiral Hannah stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as 300 ships loaded with colonists, equipment, and dreams prepared for the journey ahead. Project Defiance was beginning. The first target was Wolf 359c, a planet that the Council files had marked as permanently uninhabitable, extreme toxicity, unsurvivable temperatures. It was exactly the kind of world that aliens avoided, which made it perfect for humans. Captain Lee Sung-min commanded the colony fleet that would make the dangerous journey to Wolf 359c. She had volunteered for the mission, even though everyone knew it might be a one-way trip. As her ships entered hyperspace, she spoke to her crew over the communication system. We are not just colonists, she said. We are pioneers. We are going to show the galaxy that there is no such thing as an impossible world when humans put their minds to it. The planet they found was everything the aliens had said it was, and worse. The air was poisonous enough to kill a person in minutes. The temperature swung from freezing cold to burning hot every few hours. Acid rain fell from purple clouds. and the ground was covered in toxic chemicals. But Captain Soman and her people did not give up. They built sealed habitats and began the slow work of changing an entire world. They released specially designed bacteria into the atmosphere to eat the poison gases. They built giant machines to control the temperature. They planted earth trees that had been changed to survive in the harsh conditions. It took 5 years of hard work, dangerous experiments, and many failures. But slowly, Wolf 359C began to change. The air became cleaner. The temperatures became more stable. The acid rain stopped falling. On the 5th anniversary of their arrival, Captain Soman stood on a hill, overlooking the city they had built. New Busan was home to 12 million people now, with parks and schools and factories. Children who had been born on this world played in gardens where once there had been only poisonous dust. Meanwhile, Engineer Major Zhang Taiyang was working on making terraforming faster and better. He had taken apart alien machines found in the empty systems and combined them with human technology in ways their original builders never imagined. "Look at this," he told his team as they watched their latest atmospheric processor turn a dead moon into a world with breathable air. The Council's species are very smart, but they think too small. They only try to change worlds that are already almost perfect. We take worlds that should be impossible and make them better than perfect. His new machines could transform a planet in 30 years instead of 300. Where aliens saw only problems, Zhang saw opportunities to be creative. Commander Yu Ji-hoon had an even more ambitious project. He took his fleet to Sigma Draconis, where a dead star had left behind a field of broken rocks and metal debris. The aliens had marked it as worthless space junk. "Commander, you saw the largest source of raw materials in the galaxy, working in zero gravity." His teams built the first asteroid mining operation in human space. They connected the floating rocks with bridges and tunnels, creating a vast industrial complex that stretched for millions of miles. The Sigma Draconis manufacturing zone could build more ships, tools, and equipment than any factory on Earth. "The aliens see worthless rocks," Commander Yu explained to a reporter visiting his floating city. "We see the building blocks of an empire." By the year 2180, humanity controlled 47 star systems. Each one had been written off by the Council as useless, dangerous, or impossible to inhabit. Each one now bustled with human cities, farms, and industries. Admiral Hannah, now elderly but still sharp, reviewed reports from across human space. On Kepler 438b, engineers had turned underground lava tubes into geothermal power plants that provided energy for entire continents. On Ross 128b, farmers had created floating cities above a world ocean and grew food in ways that amazed even themselves. Every world told the same story: humans taking what others considered worthless and making it valuable through determination, creativity, and refusal to accept limits. The aliens had been right to fear human ambition, but they had also made a mistake in trying to contain it. Now humanity was stronger and more independent than ever before. 50 years had passed since Captain Lee Soman first set foot on the poisonous world that became New Busan, now Fleet Admiral Park. Youngji stood looking out at something that would have seemed impossible back then, a space station the size of a small moon, carved out from the hollow core of a dead planet. Humanity's crown was the new capital of human space. Inside its metal walls lived 20 million people from dozens of different worlds. The station had parks with real trees, artificial oceans with beaches, and cities that spiraled around the inner surface in impossible patterns. It was beautiful and strange and completely human. Admiral Park watched through the huge windows as construction ships added new sections to the station. Even after 50 years of building, humans were still expanding, still improving, still refusing to say something was finished. "Admiral," her aide reported, Long-range sensors are picking up unknown ships approaching from Council space. Park felt her heart beat faster. For half a century, the aliens had ignored humanity completely. Now they were finally coming to see what humans had built in the worlds they had abandoned. The alien ships were beautiful in their own way. They looked like they had been grown rather than built, with smooth curves and no visible weapons. But Parks experienced, I could see, they were very old, probably thousands of years old, maintained perfectly, but never changed or improved. Behind the alien ships came something very different. Human escort vessels surrounded the diplomatic fleet, and these ships looked nothing like the alien ones. They were angular, practical, and covered with sensors, weapons, and equipment that had not existed even 10 years ago. Where the alien ships looked frozen in time, the human ships looked like they were evolving as they flew. Ambassador O'Kungman prepared to meet the aliens inside humanity's crown. She was the great-granddaughter of one of the first deep space explorers, and she had inherited the family tradition of curiosity and courage. But today she also carried the pride of 50 years of human achievement. The alien delegation was led by High Arbiter Veltar, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 arms. He moved slowly and spoke in careful formal words that sounded like they had been used the same way for thousands of years. "We are the Galactic Council," he announced as he entered the meeting chamber. "We have come to assess your civilization's readiness for integration into galactic society." Ambassador O looked at the alien leader with polite interest. Around them, the meeting chamber showed holographic displays of human worlds, cities, floating on gas giants, forests growing on asteroids, oceans created from nothing on desert planets. "With respect, High Arbiter," O replied with a smile, "we are not seeking integration. We are doing quite well on our own." The alien delegation exchanged looks that suggested confusion. This was clearly not the response they had expected. In their experience, younger species were always eager to join the council and learn from their ancient wisdom. High Arbiter Veltar gestured to his aide, who activated a scanning device. "Our preliminary analysis suggests your species has made remarkable progress. However, we must evaluate whether your rapid development has compromised stability and safety." Ambassador O's smile became less polite. Stability and safety for whom? The scan results appeared on the alien's device, and Veltar's 4 eyes widened in surprise. The data showed technologies that even the Council had never developed. Human ships that could terraform planets in decades instead of centuries. Mining operations that could hollow out asteroids and turn them into cities. Energy systems that the aliens did not even understand. "This is unexpected," Veltar said slowly. "Our records indicated that your species was contained in a small region of space with limited resources." "Your records were wrong," O replied. "We have 47 star systems now, and we are adding more every year. Would you like to see them?" The holographic displays changed to show the human empire in all its glory. Worlds that had been written off as uninhabitable now supported billions of people. Industrial complexes built in empty space produced goods that supplied entire star systems. Ships larger than anything in the Council fleets moved between the stars, carrying people, resources, and dreams. Captain Nam Sung-ho was commanding the human escort fleet outside the station. He had been watching the alien ships with growing irritation. These were the same species that had kept humanity locked away for decades, forcing them to find their own path among the rejected worlds. When the alien ships began scanning humanity's crown, without permission, Captain Nam had heard enough. He opened a communication channel that broadcast to both the alien fleet and every human ship in the system. "Attention Council vessels," he said, his voice calm but firm. "You wanted nothing to do with us when we needed you. We do not need you anymore." The message was picked up by communication networks across human space and transmitted back to Earth within hours. Soon it was being repeated on every human world, becoming a rallying cry that would be remembered for generations. High Arbiter, Veltar tried to recover his diplomatic composure. Perhaps we can discuss terms for your entry into Galactic Society. ... No, Ambassador O said simply. We already have our own society. We like it better. As the council delegation returned to their ancient ships, they carried with them the shocking realization that humanity had grown beyond their control. The quarantine had failed. Instead of containing human ambition, it had forced humans to become completely self-sufficient, and now they were stronger than ever. Director Lee Hanna walked slowly into the great assembly hall of the Galactic Council. At 93 years old, her body was frail, but her eyes still burned with the same fire that had driven her to explore the stars decades ago. She was the first human ever invited to address the council, and she knew this moment would change everything. The assembly hall was enormous, built to hold representatives from 12 different alien species. Some looked almost human, while others were so strange that Hannah's mind struggled to understand their shapes. All of them were very old, not just individually, but as civilizations. They had been ruling the galaxy for thousands and thousands of years. High Arbiter Veltar introduced her with formal words that barely hid his nervousness. Director Hanna, of the Human Stellar Federation, will now address the council. Hanna stepped up to the speaking platform and looked out at the gathered aliens. These were the beings who had kept humanity locked away in a corner of space for 50 years. Now they had invited her here because they were afraid of what humans had become. You quarantined us because you feared our ambition would spread, she began, her voice clear despite her age. You were right to be afraid, but not for the reasons you thought. Murmurs spread through the assembly. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Hanna activated a holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy. While you were watching us, we were exploring beyond your borders. We found something interesting out there. The map zoomed in on regions of space beyond council territory. Dozens of young civilizations appeared on the display, species that the council had never contacted because they were considered too primitive or too far away. Meet the Cathora of the Outer, Rim Hanna said as images appeared of insect-like beings building massive space structures. When we met them 5 years ago, they had just achieved faster-than-light travel. Today, they are terraforming 3 worlds, using techniques they learned from us. More images appeared. The Vortani were struggling to mine asteroids with old, slow methods. We showed them how to hollow out entire asteroid fields and turn them into cities. Now they produce more raw materials in 1 year than most council species produce in a century. The council representatives were becoming agitated. These young species were supposed to develop slowly, following the same careful path that the council species had taken thousands of years ago. The Zelhari asked us to help them with a dying world, Hanna continued. Their sun was getting weaker, and they thought they would have to abandon their home planet. We taught them how to build artificial suns. Now they have 3 worlds where they used to have 1. High Arbiter Veltar stood up. These rapid changes are dangerous. Young species must develop slowly, with guidance, or they risk destroying themselves. Hanna smiled. That is what you believe. But we have worked with 17 different young species now, and not one of them has destroyed itself. In fact, they are thriving. They are growing faster and stronger than they ever imagined possible. She changed the holographic display to show Admiral Shin Jaewon's exploration fleets. These were not the small, careful ships that the Council used for contact with new species. They were massive vessels designed for long journeys into unexplored regions of the galaxy. Admiral Shin has made contact with 43 new species in the last 10 years, Hanna reported. Most of them had never even heard of the Council. They were developing alone, just like humanity did, and just like us. They were hungry for knowledge, for growth, for something more than slow, careful progress. The images showed young alien civilizations building incredible things with human help. cities that floated in gas giant atmospheres, space elevators that reached from planets to their moons, generation ships preparing for journeys to other galaxies. You kept us isolated because you thought human ambition was dangerous, Hannah said. You were right. It is dangerous to your way of thinking. It is dangerous to the idea that civilizations must develop slowly and carefully. It is dangerous to the belief that some dreams are impossible. Council Representative Xanthara of the hegemony spoke up, her voice filled with worry. If all young species develop as rapidly as yours, the galaxy will become chaotic. There will be wars, competition, instability, or there will be growth, Hannah replied calmly. There will be innovation. There will be solutions to problems you never thought could be solved. She gestured to the display, which now showed plans for humanity's next great project. In 6 months, Admiral Kim Jajin will launch the first intergalactic expedition in known history. We are not content with just this galaxy anymore. We want to see what lies beyond. The council assembly erupted in shocked voices. Travel to other galaxies was considered theoretically possible, but practically impossible by their standards. Hannah raised her hand for silence. We never wanted to be your enemies. We just wanted to reach for the stars. If that ambition is infectious, then perhaps the galaxy needed an infection. As she walked slowly out of the assembly hall, leaving the council members to argue among themselves, Hannah thought about the young human civilizations spreading across unexplored space. They were no longer the isolated species that had once begged for contact. They were teachers now, showing other young races that limits were just challenges waiting to be overcome. Behind her, the council faced an impossible choice: change their ancient ways, or watch the galaxy transform without them.